Hello, how are you doing today? Well, I'm sure right now when you're getting ready to start your research, you're probably wondering where do I begin? Research can be very confusing and cause you a lot of issues if you're not prepared or you haven't really studied upon what you should be doing. But I'm going to help you with that today. The first thing that you should start with, of course, is to begin looking at your actual instructions to see what is it that your teacher is requiring you to do. We all know that we're going to do an argumentative research essay project about banned and challenged books, and basically, to ban a book, you have to go through the challenging process as first. And what that means is, let's say, a family or a parent or a student or a church group or whatever has an issue with some part of a text that they are not very pleased with. All they simply do is they go and present it to the media center of that local town or society, and they say they have a complaint with it, a problem with it, and then the librarian tells them that they need to research that more. And so after they research it and read it, then the media committee comes together and fixes up a lot of stuff, and they determine if that book is going to be banned or not. So in order for it to be challenged, they just simply have to present it with some issue that they have come across with that particular book. In order to be banned, it has to have gone through the process of the media committee to determine if that book is indeed not appropriate and needs to be removed from that particular media center or all media centers in that school system, maybe even that public library at the time. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to move right into looking at the project assignment sheet. In front of you, you should have this particular sheet which talks about basically exactly what I just said, but now we're going to actually go into what we're going to do. In this project, you are going to research claims by an individual or group who has indeed brought a book up to be challenged, and then using your research that you're going to go through, you're going to argue whether these claims are justified, and then you're going to be sure to include what it means to challenge and or ban a book and that process that must be followed, as well as provide a brief synopsis of the book. So now you wonder, what parts of the paper am I going to have to do? What am I going to actually have to do in this project? This paper can be organized in whatever manner that you choose, but you got to make sure that you include these elements. You got to first of all talk about what is a banned and a challenged book. Just give a general synopsis of what a banned and challenged book is, and you'll basically go on the ALO site, which is the American Library Association website, where you're going to look and find out those generic definitions of what it means to challenge a book and what it means to ban a book. And I actually went through some of that at the beginning of this particular seminar here. So anyway, you're going to start your paper off. You already have your introduction. That is your introduction. You're going to start off by just simply talking about what is a banned and a challenged book. What is the difference between those two? Then you're going to briefly discuss the actual book that you have chosen. Remember when Ms. Lawrence came in the room, we talked about we tried to choose a book that we have already read, because at this point in time, if you haven't read the book that you have chosen for research, you are already behind, and there's just probably no way of catching up to that. So make sure that you have actually read the book that you have chosen, and make sure that you have some type of opinion about it. You may have enjoyed the book, you may have hated it, whatever, but you're going to look to see what these people have challenged this book for, if it has been banned, why it has been banned, and you're going to sit there and determine, eventually in this paper, do I agree with this? Do I believe that they were justified in their banning of the book or their challenging of the book? So I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So again, let me start back over. You're going to first start your paragraph off with what is a banned and challenged book. Then you're going to move into discussing your actual book. Give me a brief synopsis, which is a summary. Just one paragraph that simply summarizes your entire book. A plot summary. That's very simplistic. If you use things from like novelists, or you use other synopses from the Literary Reference Center, or other sources, make sure that you are citing your sources. You do not want to be plagiarized. If you can't remember plagiarism, make sure that you go and look at the site for that, the class site, MrReddish.com. Also, the next paragraph you're going to go into, that third paragraph, is discussing whether or not the book has been challenged, and if it has been both challenged and banned. Discuss what process it has gone through, and then also discuss who found fault in this book and for what reasons. Why did they have an issue with this book? And then finally, you're going to end your paper with the bulk of this research project, which is discussing do you agree or disagree with that particular verdict. And if you do agree with it, defend your position. If you disagree with that verdict, you also need to defend your position. And then, that right there is what your paper is going to be about. Of course, in another video, I'm going to go through an actual sample paper with you that is also found on MrReddish.com, but you want to be able to understand what it is that I am looking for. Also, just a couple of reminders, be well organized. How are you going to be well organized? By making sure that you go back through number 1 right here. Go back through and read this again. Make sure that you really understand that. Also, make sure that you understand this portion. These two parts right here are the most important parts of the research project. If you do not understand these two things, you are behind and you're going to be confused. So make sure that you understand what this is asking you to do. Also, make sure you follow correct MLA in-text citation and referencing, making sure that you're doing your works cited page and all that, and of course there'll be a video about that. And your paper must have a minimum, which means at least 4 sources used very well, and you cannot have more than 6 sources. I don't know why that has the question marks there. I'll just go ahead and move that, because no more than 6 sources there. Also, 1 is going to be the actual book itself, and then 1 is going to be the ALA site or book for challenge books. Remember that book that Ms. Lawrence brought in? You can use that book or the ALA site. I personally like the American Library Association site because everything is just there. It's a click away. I don't have to flip through a book. Again, that first source is going to be, the actual novel that you chose. Then you're going to either choose either Library Reference Center or Novelist. And if I were you, I would use both of them because you can get a student choice from one of those as well. So use this for this third source and use this for your fourth source if they are applicable. You could also, as another additional source, remember Novelist, you could actually get 2 sources within 1. So that could be 5 sources right there that you have without even having to go to the internet or other Galileo sites. So that's just a good place to start, and if you scroll on down, you'll find some other important information that will help you when you're getting ready to format your paper. So I hope that right there gets you started in getting ready to get this paper done. Okay, good luck, and if you need additional help, please check out the other videos on the site.